Well, howdy-ho, everybody. I'm Scott with Off Grid Stoves and More, and I'm here to talk with you. This is going to be a real quick short in order to determine if your fresh air inlet is plugged or restricted. Right here is your fresh air inlet on the bottom of your stove. And for you Rika owners, pretty much the stove is identical, whether it's an insert or a freestanding. Now, the two customers that we had two different scenarios. One ended up having a outside air inlet that was connected to a vent on the outside of the home. This particular customer had, well, let me explain something really quick. When your stove is running, especially on high, it draws a lot of air from the outside into the back of the stove, into the fresh air tube here. And he had like a dryer vent on the outside. And what happened was it ended up plugging up with debris, spider webs, leaves, and so forth. And what it did is it restricted the airflow going to the inside of the stove, and the combustion of the stove was just freaking out. You know, we went back and forth. I asked him, hey, look, did you clean your stove just like the video showed? And, you know, obviously they said, yes, Scott, we did. Now, here's the problem. When you clean out the fresh air inlet, you have to make sure that you clean from this point here all the way to the burn pot, okay? Let me turn this around here. Now, obviously, watching the video, you understand how to get to it. So you remove your ash pan and your burn pot. And when you're facing the stove on the right-hand side, there is a hollow channel underneath the firebox floor here that connects to the fresh air inlet. Now, most of you do a wonderful job. Some of you, or many of you, actually clean it out daily after talking with you, and you'll vacuum out the burn pot, make sure that the air holes are all opened up and flowing nicely, and you vacuum out the inside here, and you put your vacuum, right here, and you clean up anything that you can see. So this particular customer ended up getting so much fly ash back here where, let me show you here, where the transition is from the firebox floor to the fresh air tube, that it jammed up with ash right here. This particular customer even sent us his electronics, and we tested his motherboard, user board. Now, when it comes to a stove shutting down and so forth, we're not necessarily stating that the motherboard and the user board are the problems. They just wanted us to double check everything. Also, they had a Rika 2, and the customer wanted their board updated to the most modern programming, which helps it to burn more efficiently, gives you more control over the features of the stove. So when they sent it in, we put it on our test station, tested everything. It turned out just perfect, not a problem. The boards had no burn marks, no charred marks. Everything was fine. Sent it back to them. We then talked to them about the high limit and the low limit sensor, okay, along with the air sensor. If by chance there is a plug right here, your stove's not able to draw fresh air in past the air sensor, and the stove continued to shut down on them. Okay, so we eliminated the snap discs, we eliminated the air sensor, because we do test air sensors. So if there is any question as to whether or not an air sensor is faulty, you can mail it to us and we can put it on our control board and confirm that it's working properly. Okay, so once we went through everything, I was sitting there and literally, I might have been laying in bed, because I do lay in bed a lot thinking about you folks out there that are having problems with your Austroflamms, and some of you out there have a little bit more difficulty in helping me help you.
Help me help you.
After I started thinking about it, that's when I came to the conclusion, hey, look, if that air sensor is not receiving enough airflow, then we have the potential problem of a plug inside. One customer had an ash plug right here, and another customer had a plug on the vent on the outside. So I just covered both customers for you. So it's always important to make sure that if you have outside air connected to your stove, that from the outside vent, okay, most of the time, or I should say all of the time, you should have a screen out there that stops rodents and so forth from coming in. And make sure that that vent stays clean so it doesn't have debris that's restricting the inflow of the fresh air. And some of you still might have this, but this is a nice long brush that helps you get down in there and ream it out. Now I don't want to jam this in there because this is a new brush and I don't want to damage it. But you have to work it from both sides, from the back of the stove. I can do it back here because there's nothing to really restrict. Now, very important here, make sure before you start putting this brush into the back of the stove, especially you out there that have a freestand and you have a cover here so you're not being alerted by looking at the stove. You insert guys out there should see this before you start putting anything inside of the fresh air tube. You're going to have to make sure that you remove the fresh air, or excuse me, the air sensor, and then you'll be able to clean the tube all the way into the transition. And you're going to end up being able to make sure that everything is free flowing. What it also does, it's designed, when you clean out your horizontal chamber here, you're going to be able to get that brush all the way through and really clean the air vents that are behind your heat tubes. And you get this in that horizontal chamber and you just really give it a good scrubbing. Alrighty? You guys stay safe out there. Peace.